What we want to do ahead of the summit is to get some soundings on public opinion in both Australia and the United States on attitudes towards terrorism, steps to combat terrorism, getting our respondents to reflect on the historical significance of 9/11 10 years on, how it's faded or stayed prominent in their memories, a sense of how safe they feel, how governments have been doing in combating terrorism, a wider range of issues around those questions. Well, perhaps one of the biggest things is that Australians feel remarkably secure from terrorist threat. Australians, just 6% of them, thought the odds of a terrorist attack in Australia were better than 50-50. You ask Australians about the United States, that proportion goes way up. About 40% of Australians thought that it was better than 50-50 that the US would experience a terrorist attack. So Australia sees itself travelling a lot more safely than the United States. That was perhaps one of the single biggest differences between the two countries. Well, I think fatigue is one key element of it. The other is this remarkable bipartisanship we saw between Labor supporters in Australia, coalition supporters on the other side, Democrats on one side, Republicans on the other. When you put the two things together, fatigue, people tired of the war on terror, bipartisan consensus, and the fact that terrorism is starting to drift down on the issue agenda, what that means actually is that governments have a remarkably free hand to pursue business as usual in the war on terror. If anything, I think what we're going to see in the years ahead is a new war on terror, a lower intensity one than one we've perhaps seen over the first 10 years since 9/11, but one that's supported by both sides of politics. Labor in Australia, the coalition on the other hand, both sides agreeing that prosecuting some kind of war against terrorists, against terrorism, is part and parcel of what governments of the West do these days. So I think that's the big takeaway for me when I put the individual elements of our data together. I think Obama will stick to that. But if he didn't want to, I don't think there's a tremendous opposition to that. If the war on terror needs to be prosecuted longer, I don't see in our data a strong set of voices saying no, or that would be politically unpalatable. I think we've gotten used to the war on terror. There's been a normalization of the war on terror, perhaps at a lower level than we've seen over the first 10 years of it, but I think we're going to see perhaps nothing as big and as major as sort of a wholesale invasion of Afghanistan or something like that, but something akin to the war on terror will be part and parcel of our lives, I think, for some years to come.